Molds. They are actually not so different from mushrooms. They also grow a network of fine filaments and eventually fruiting bodies. Just, instead of in the soil, they grow in old bread or that damp corner on your bathroom ceiling. And their fruiting bodies are much smaller, but there are many of them. Usually if you see the mold, it's the fruiting bodies and the spores, which come in a lot of beautiful colors. But the almost invisible white fungus filaments are in the whole bread, which is why you cannot just cut off the moldy bits and still eat the rest of the bread because, well, there's already fungus in there, and some of them are toxic to us, so it's not recommended. But not all of them. Indeed, we eat certain moldy foods on purpose, like moldy cheeses and hams. But of course here it's made sure that the correct harmless mold is growing on them. If your bread gets moldy, you have no idea what you get, so I recommend you throw it out. Because they often spoil our food like that, molds are mostly a nuisance to us humans. And they are everywhere. Think about it, when you leave out a piece of bread, it's guaranteed to eventually get mold. Guaranteed. That must mean that there are small spores in the air everywhere at all times. Because even when you put your bread in plastic wrap, it's going to get moldy. Because the spores are already on it. But molds are also useful. For example, they decompose organic matter in nature. And did you know that most of the citric acid we humans produce is made by mold fungi? Yeah, that's in fact way more efficient than growing lemons. But it gets better. Maybe a mold has already saved your life. And maybe more than once. You might suspect where this is going. Once upon a time, the biologist Alexander Fleming was doing experiments with bacteria that grew on plates. And one day in 1928, he once again cursed the mold that grew on his bacteria plate and ruined the culture. That was something that happened regularly, of course, and had happened to many scientists all over the world. But for him, on this fateful day, it finally clicked. Wait a minute, if the mold kills the bacteria on the plate, does that mean we could use the mold as a treatment against bacterial diseases? And so, he figured out what compound in the mold it is that kills bacteria, isolated it, and the first antibiotic was born. Nowadays there are many different antibiotics, and many of them are also not derived from molds or fungi. But it was the molds that gave us the initial idea to look for such compounds. So, if you ever got an antibiotic, you owe some thanks to the molds. By the way, that first mold of Alexander Fleming was one that had fruiting bodies that looked like little brushes. It was called penicillium, which means brush in Latin. And that's the reason why the first antibiotic was called penicillin. And with it, we finally had a weapon against some of the deadliest diseases of human history. The plague, gangrene, syphilis, all of them usually no problem today, thanks to antibiotics. So next time your food gets moldy, you might want to take a second look at the mold and appreciate what it has done for you. And then throw it in the bin, because the mold got there first, it's their food now.